Shai, you had 20 in the first, and I just wonder if there's any point in time in that first quarter that you feel like you have every part of your offensive game in balance and kind of in rhythm. Are you sensing that, or are you just playing the play in front of you?
Yeah, just playing. I tried to be a little bit more aggressive once we kind of got out to that start. They kind of blitzed us a little bit. I tried to be aggressive, be assertive, not kind of let the game get away from me. It kind of did a little bit in Brooklyn. They got out to a really, really big lead. I tried to keep it away from that. I tried to just put my fingerprint on the game.
Dub, you have a lot of responsibility in not just getting your offense going, but everybody else's too during large stretches of the game. How do you feel like you helped kind of facilitate some of what we saw? I mean, some great interchanges between Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein, between a lot of different guys while you were out there on the floor. In terms of setting up the offense, getting you guys into sets and that kind of thing.
Yeah. The exchange you're talking about, we were in a very good flow offensively and defensively, and that's what makes us dangerous. So a lot of those is just like when Chet has it going or we're just kind of in that state, you try to just be in the right spots at the right time offensively and be ready for, I don't want to say your moment to make it seem like it's a big thing, but you're just kind of like ready for whatever the offense brings. And then just my responsibility as a player to do that, something I'm kind of used to. I enjoy doing it, and we have a good group of guys to do it with. I think Queso and K-Rich during that second quarter stretch were really good. Defensively, they got us going, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's all about me setting it up. It's just our team is very good, so it makes it easy to play off them.
So, Shai, most guys never score 50 ever, and you've scored 54 times in the last 7 weeks. When you hit numbers like that, milestones like that, does it still excite you, or has it become, I can't imagine it being a routine, but have you kind of gotten used to things like that happening?
A little bit. It becomes, it's not, you can say it's not as exciting as the first one, but it's more like getting lost in the process of just competing and playing the game you love, and then wherever that takes you, it takes you. It's gonna be different for everybody. Not everyone could be Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? No matter how much work you put in, there has to be a Michael Jordan, and I'm just getting lost in the process and having fun with it, whether it's 50, whether it's 27, whether it's 17. As long as we win, I have fun with it. It's a fun night.
Yeah, Shai, long question, so bear with me, but this is another night where your name is next to some all-time greats, and anytime you're asked about being next to those all-time greats and how you feel about it, you mentioned how you don't feel like you're there yet because you haven't won, but there have been quite a few guys over the history of the game, LeBron, Jerry West, Shaq, KD, that have been seen as all-time greats before they've won, and I assume you mean by win, you mean a championship. So what is it that makes you feel like you have to win a championship before you're seen as an all-time great?
That's a good question.
For me, I just think you play the game to win. You don't play the game to score a bunch of points. You don't play the game to get a bunch of rebounds or assists or steals, for stats. You don't play for anything besides to win. And that's what it's all about. And, obviously, the stats and the individual stuff puts you in another stratosphere, but to get over that hump and to be, regarded as one of the better players to ever play, you have to win. Because if you don't win, then it's all for nothing. That's just how I see it. And that's how I see it in golf. That's how I see it in football. That's how I see it in competition, period. And winning is the be-all, end-all for me.
Shai, you're shooting over 40% from three over the last month. What's kind of gone into that process of getting better from beyond the arc?
Work ethic, shooting shots I'm comfortable with, but ultimately just trusting the work through the misses and the makes, just knowing that if I take a shot I'm comfortable shooting the right time in the game, then it's a good shot. You live with the result. It's part of the game. It's going to be ups and downs, makes and misses. But you put in the work, and you'll be rewarded.
How you guys viewing the rest of this regular season? You got a sizable lead in the Western Conference. So, obviously you want to win the games, but how are you approaching each game in terms of just in terms of getting ready for the playoffs, things of that nature? And both of you get this, too, by the way.
Yeah, we just have to make sure we're getting better. Like, that's what's going to come down to. Making sure we're getting closer to the best version of ourselves towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. And that's when you want to be the best version of yourselves. And that's what we're focused on. The process more so than the outcome, I would say.
Mark calls it sharpening our blade. You're not playing. This is like kind of like the part of the year where we're getting close to it, where like teams start to like sit certain guys and do that whole thing. So you're not really playing against the other team like we're playing against ourselves, and we're trying to like keep getting better, not based on who we're playing, but just kind of based on our standards. So that's what we try and do when we go out there.
Shai, last year you guys were one of the best turnover-generating teams in the league. Hasn't changed. Again, this year it's the same, but it seems like it's gone up a level. Why do you think that is such an important part of, I guess, your guys' scheme defensively and just overall, I guess, philosophy to sort of win games?
I think we know defensively, like to win games you have to play defense, you have to stop the team more than they stop you. And the better we're at that, the more chances we give ourselves every night to win games and ultimately be a better team. And then we also have a bunch of guys that are just naturally good at defense, naturally know where to be, naturally have good hands, and are smart basketball players, and it clicks for us.
And then for Dub, a big topic last season was rebounding, and you guys obviously get Hardenstein this year, which has really, really helped. But at the same time, there's been almost more small ball units than ever, just with some of the injuries. And you guys have gone up as a rebounding team. What do you think is attributed to that?
Taking pride in it. I think we've had a lot of teams that know we're small, so they send a lot of guys to the glass. So we've had like a lot of reps doing it, and it's one of those things that like over time you just get better at it. And I think we've done a good job of offensive rebounding as well, setting more guys to the glass, getting us more possessions, and yeah.
Dub, to start the second and fourth, you guys are seeing you and Hardenstein out there really facilitating a lot of offense. Can you speak to his passing ability and what it gives those units specifically, and also how's your wrist?
Okay. Hart is a very skilled big man. I think that was one of the things when we first got him that went under the radar with him. I think everybody was kind of looking at like rebounding and size, but he's an extremely good passer, sees the floor well. So anytime you have a big that's smart and knows what he's good at and kind of buys into the team, it makes it easy to play off him. So we'll kind of continue to go to him for certain things. And, yeah, he's been really good for us there. And then my wrist is cool. It hurts right now. It's a little ashy, but I'm straight.
Shai, obviously 51 points is going to jump off the stat sheet, but on a night like this where you guys don't get off to your best start, just how invaluable was the guys off the bench, guys like Ken Rich and guys like Kaysen, to help provide that spark?
Yeah, it's a team sport, and whenever your number's called, you should be ready. We have a team full of guys that do so. No matter what the situation is, they come in, they make plays, and they're a big part of the reason why we have the record and why we are the team we are. And to have this record and this success, you have to have a team full of guys that are on the same page and that affect the game at a high level, and we do.
Yeah, Dub, not to have you disagree with what Shai said about the all-time great stuff, but, I mean, when you see his name next to Kobe, Jordan, Wilt, things that only a select few of guys have done, like, what are your thoughts on what he's doing and how he's approaching that all-time great status? Because it's kind of sometimes hard to see or realize a guy is playing at an all-time great level while they're doing it. Is kind of, you take that approach after the season or whatever. Like, so what are your thoughts on his season or his last few seasons?
It's amazing. It's fun to be a part of it. I feel like I celebrate it probably more than he does, or at least get more excited than he does about it. But it's always cool when you have people that are close to you do well. that's the kind of person I am. I feel like it's fun watching him reach that, and it kind of gives like me something to shoot for and play off of. And yeah, when you have a blueprint that close, it's good to like watch and learn and see what he's doing. And something that like I don't take for granted. Obviously he doesn't as he pushes towards it, but it's very cool to watch that transpire in real time because not everybody gets the opportunity to be around somebody like that. And like he said, not everybody gets the opportunity to even have those numbers. So it's pretty cool to be around.
And then Dub, and then Mark mentioned some of the double big lineups and sort of learning that, but I wanted to ask for your perspective because of some of the small ball lineups. Has it helped you at all just energy-wise offensively now that you don't have that, I guess, responsibility or load defensively guarding guys like that?
You're saying if we go double big?
Just whether you're going double big or you can put one at all times on the floor.
I don't know. I honestly expend so much energy and I try and play really hard all the time that I try not to even no matter what the lineup is, I try and like go all out with whatever I'm doing. So I mean, it's nice that we have a double big lineup. I'm not getting posted up 90% of the game, so I enjoy that. But I'm just kind of ready to give 100% with whatever lineup we go, and I feel like that's the best version of whatever our team is.
Thank you. Go ahead, Gallup, for Coach.
Mark, it seemed like you guys kind of just were able to outlast them tonight, particularly after the great start to the third quarter. What did you notice about the way that your team was able to just close out the win?
Well, credit Houston. I thought they played well. Obviously, those are tough games. Those guys are good players, and they're motivated. They're getting opportunities that they don't normally have. And we're in the thick of a schedule here, so we had to get our energy going. And I thought we did that at halftime. The starting group gave us a great 8-minute run there of offense and defense to give us a cushion that we were able to sustain the rest of the game. So, credit them. It wasn't like our best energy game of the season, but they turned it on in that part.
And then, with Shai's night, he spoke pretty significantly about just the investment that he was making at the beginning of the season, the three-point shot. Are we seeing, as the year has gone on, just continued dividends of that, not just with the shots he's making from behind the arc, but what it's opening up for the rest of his offense too? Yeah,
and I think, if you look at his growth year over year, three-point shooting is definitely there. I think the blend of shooting and attacking and passing early is definitely there. I just think he's got an unbelievable pace to him right now. He's finding his stuff. He's attacking and really hitting the gas on some plays. And then there's other plays where he's just letting the defense tell him what to do and moving it to his teammates. And it's allowing for the rest of the team to play really well at the same time as him. So he deserves a lot of credit. And I think, there's ups and downs in a regular season, but if you look where he was a year ago, it's amazing how much improvement he's made despite being, an elite player, an MVP candidate a year ago.
You scored 137 points, so you figured it out, but people throwing zones at you. They were going zone, man, kind of early on. I think you had like 4 turnovers at the first time out.
Yep.
How'd you get it figured out? What you change, I guess, or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, since All-Star break, we've seen very little base defense. It's crazy to think about, but we've played 7 games, and Atlanta threw some base stuff at us. San Antonio, that was mostly base in that game, but the rest of the games has been a combination of zone and double teaming and blitzing, and it's good for us because we're going to have to be able to pivot to different solutions. We were working some different things tonight, with our lineups and with our attacks. Like, we've got some stuff that we are pretty confident in. We were developing some other stuff in the game, so if it was a little bit rough at times, that's probably on me. But it's good for us to have to confront all these different menu items because we're going to need it all at different points.
You had I guess I call them shock troops. You had Kasem in there, Caruso, Wiggins. It seemed like Kendrick really kind of gave you a boost in that second quarter to kind of get things going for you. Talk about his game.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the second night of a back-to-back, 2 different cities. It's our 7th game since All-Star break in, I think, 13 days in 6 different cities. And Kendrick Williams is like the kind of guy you want in those situations. Like, there's a grit to him and a professionalism to him where, we need this from him. When our energy's down, he's an energy giver, and he's got a contagiousness to him. And I thought he brought that, especially, in the first half tonight, really throughout his minutes, but in the first half, especially when we were kind of like in mud to start the game.
Mark, last year one of the major topics of discussion was rebounding. You guys were bottom 5 in rebound percentage and rebounds per game. This year, you guys are knocking on the door of being a top 20 team. I know you guys have been crashing more, but between the personnel and strategy, what do you think are the biggest, I guess, contributing factors to you guys improving this year?
I mean, you want to win the possession battle, and turnovers on both ends do that, and we've been great at that, obviously, for a long time. But you also don't want to concede rebounds as a result of that. And so I think the fundamentals of crashing, fundamentals of blocking out have accumulated over time. I think our returning players have gotten pretty good at that, and I think Hartenstein's helped with that. He's played a lot of minutes, and he helps your team on both ends on the glass. And so it's definitely in a good spot. And if we can rebound the ball offensively, defensively, limit our turnovers, force turnovers, you're widening your margin for error in a game that you're doing those things.
Mark, how much, if at all, does the identity of your team have to bend to certain lineups, like the double big stuff for small ball or single big?
The identity shouldn't change. We want to be a compete together team. The system fundamentals shouldn't change. The system fundamentals are, baseline things that transcend position, transcend lineups. That's like individual defense. It's blockouts. It's floor spacing. It's how sharp we are in our two-man actions. That stuff doesn't change. So the identity of the team doesn't change. The schemes change, and that's where when you go small, changes the way you defend schematically, changes the way you attack schematically. But the reason we have those constants from the environment we have in our building to our compete together identity to our system fundamentals, the reason we have those so consistent is so that we can do different things and bend to different lineups and adapt to different skill sets of players and lineups.
Hit the 50 win mark tonight, fastest an OKC team has ever gotten to 50 games. Can you talk about your perspective, what this team, the level that they're at, that they can get there? No other West team has even gotten to 40 wins yet, just where this team is at, and even compared to last year.
Yeah, we're not comparing to other teams, and we're not comparing to last year. But I just told the team, I didn't think we played our best game, and we need to be present with every challenge, and we need to take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of us. But it is also a testament that we can be a little bit unsatisfied on a night where we win our 50th game. We can never take that for granted. It's hard to win 50 games in the NBA in a season. We obviously have a lot more we want to accomplish, but we also, there's people that have been in the room that, we're winning 22 games or 24 games or, scratching and clawing to get to 40. And so we're going to be grateful, for 50. And we can be grateful for that, and we can also be hungry at the same time. Both can be true, and both are true for us. But we don't take, 50-win season for granted ever.
Two-part question, Coach. You mentioned the third quarter, that shift that we saw. What did you see? What are some of the things that stood out the most out of that? And the second part of my question is, just what did you see out of Chet Holmgren in his first game back since the ankle injury in Atlanta?
Chet's impactful, so when he's out there, even if he doesn't have his A game, he's going to impact the game, and he's still coming back from, a larger period of time off. So we're not really evaluating his performance night to night. We're just trying to see an uptick week to week, and we will continue to, because he's a really good player. So, as for the shift, I think on a night like this where you're trying to find it and you're trying to get the engine to turn a little bit, that's where the individual efforts of players matters. And I mentioned Kenrich to Myron's question. I thought Cason Wallace went in there in the first half and he took the energy to a different level. He wasn't being denied early. I thought Jay Will gave us a really good energetic lift in the first. And then I thought that group to start the third quarter, those guys made a decision coming out of halftime that we were going to have more energy and they were going to feel us more on both ends of the floor, and they did. And so it's important that guys take individual responsibility for their energy and what they're contributing to the team, and that stuff's contagious when you have a team as connected and competitive as us.
What did you like from that double big lineup tonight? It seems like the connection between Hartenstein and Holmgren is growing a little bit.
Yeah, we still haven't seen it in maybe its most optimal form, which is against bigger teams that are like, just trying to play, through your chest at the basket. We've rolled it out every night because we need to learn about it, but it's mostly been on nights like tonight where it's perimeter-oriented teams. Those guys are in more closeouts. I think we're learning the limits of it to a degree. I also think we're learning where we can improve to a degree, and we've improved. It's a lot smoother probably than I would have expected, only 10 games in or whatever. So we're going to continue to work through it. It's also not going to be a distraction. We got other stuff to work on, and we have other lineups to run. But those guys have done a great job. They work collaboratively. They're very communicative, and that's why it's improving the way it is.